Most people think of Baghdad and immediately flash to news headlines, explosions, checkpoints, and danger zones. But what if I told you that right now, in this very moment, millions of people are living completely normal lives in one of history's most legendary cities? They're sipping tea in centuries-old cafes, haggling over fresh pomegranates in bustling markets, and gathering on rooftops to watch the sunset paint the Tigris River gold. This is Baghdad, not the Baghdad you see on television, but the real one, where a monthly budget of just $600 can buy you a lifestyle that would cost thousands anywhere else in the world. The year is 762 AD. The Abbasid Caliphate Al-Mansur stands on the banks of the Tigris River and declares this spot will become Madinat al-Salam, the city of peace. He envisions a perfect circular city that will become the beating heart of the Islamic world, where scholars from Greece, Persia, India, and beyond will translate the world's knowledge into Arabic. Fast forward 1,200 years, and you're looking at a city that once held nearly 2 million books in its libraries, more than existed in all of Europe combined. Today, Baghdad houses over 7 million souls, making it one of the largest cities in the Middle East. Yet somehow it remains the world's most misunderstood metropolis. Here's what nobody tells you about Baghdad. It's still magnificent. Not in the glossy, Instagram-perfect way of Dubai or Istanbul, but in a raw, authentic manner that hits you right in the chest. When you step off that plane at Baghdad International Airport, you're not just entering another capital city, you're walking into the living, breathing descendant of the most intellectually advanced civilization the world had ever seen. The same rivers that watered Mesopotamian crops 5,000 years ago still flow through concrete neighborhoods where children play football in dusty lots, and mothers hang laundry on lines stretched between ancient and modern buildings. The Tigris River cuts through Baghdad like a liquid lifeline, dividing the city into Rusafa on the east bank and Kark on the west. These aren't just geographical distinctions, they represent different moods of the same urban symphony. Rusafa pulses with government buildings, universities, and the famous Al-Mutanabbi Street, where book lovers still gather every Friday to browse, argue, and recite poetry. Kark sprawls with residential neighborhoods, markets, and the kind of authentic street life that travel documentaries dream about, but rarely capture honestly. But let's address the elephant in the room immediately. Yes, Baghdad has faced incredible challenges. The city that once boasted the world's first hospital with separate wards for different diseases, the first pharmacy school, and astronomical observatories that mapped star movements with stunning precision, has endured decades of conflict. However, what strikes every visitor who actually makes the trip is how normal life has become. Markets overflow with fresh produce, restaurants stay packed until midnight, and families still gather in parks for weekend picnics. The resilience isn't just inspirational, it's practical, daily, and surprisingly humorous. Walk through any Baghdad neighborhood at sunset, and you'll witness something magical. The call to prayer echoes from dozens of mosques, but instead of creating cacophony, it forms a layered harmony that blankets the city. Shopkeepers pause their haggling, taxi drivers pull over for a few minutes of reflection, and the entire metropolis takes a collective breath. Then, almost immediately afterward, life explodes back into motion, horns honking, children laughing, and the eternal Iraqi debate about whether the best masgoof comes from the Tigris fish or the imported variety. This is where your $600 monthly budget becomes not just feasible, but luxurious by local standards. While backpackers in Southeast Asia fight over $10 hostel beds, you could rent an entire apartment in a decent Baghdad neighborhood for $200 to $300 per month. That leaves you with $300 to $400 for everything else, food that costs pennies compared to Western standards, transportation via shared taxis that rarely exceed $2 for cross-city trips, and entertainment in a city where the best experiences often cost absolutely nothing. The mathematical reality is staggering. A filling meal at a local restaurant costs between $2 to $5, meaning you could eat out for every single meal and still spend less than $450 monthly on food. A cup of tea in a traditional cafe costs about 25 cents, while fresh juice made from local oranges or pomegranates runs maybe 50 cents. Internet cafes charge around $1 per hour, and local gym memberships, yes. Baghdad's modern gyms cost roughly $20 monthly. Your biggest expense might be the occasional taxi ride to avoid walking in summer heat that can hit 120 degrees Fahrenheit, but even those rides cost less than a New York subway token. Yet Baghdad's true currency isn't money, it's time and relationships. This is a city where business deals happen over 3-hour tea sessions, where neighbors know each other's families going back generations, and where hospitality isn't just cultural politeness, but a genuine art form. Accepting an invitation to someone's home means committing to an evening of seemingly endless food courses, political discussions that range from ancient philosophy to current soccer matches, and the kind of human connection that makes you question why the rest of the world has become so isolated. The morning call to prayer at 5 a.m. doesn't wake you up, it gently pulls you into consciousness, alongside an entire city awakening together. By 6 a.m., bakeries release the aroma of fresh bread into streets where vendors are already arranging pyramids of oranges, dates, and vegetables. Coffee vendors push carts through residential areas, calling out in melodic Arabic that translates roughly to coffee, tea, and good morning wishes. These aren't just commercial transactions, they're daily rituals that bind communities together. Iraqi breakfasts tell the story of a civilization that perfected the art of starting each day properly. Warm bread straight from wood-fired ovens, creamy labneh cheese, olive oil that tastes like liquid sunshine, fresh tomatoes, cucumbers, and strong tea served in small glasses that you hold by the rim to avoid burning your fingers. This meal, which could easily cost $15 to $20 in a trendy Western cafe, runs about $1.50 in Baghdad, and the portions are generous enough to keep you satisfied until afternoon. The city's geography tells the story of multiple civilizations layered on top of each other. Like archaeological sediment, modern Baghdad sprawls far beyond the original circular city that Al-Mansur designed. But you can still trace the ancient patterns in neighborhood layouts and street names. Haifa Street, once notorious in Western media, now bustles with normal commercial activity. Karada District offers upscale shopping and restaurants, where young Iraqis gather to socialize in ways that would look familiar in any global city. Sadr City, home to over 2 million residents, represents one of the world's largest urban communities, where life happens at ground level with an intensity and authenticity that's impossible to fake. The Tigris River remains Baghdad's most romantic feature, especially during those magical hours just after sunset when the temperature drops from scorching to merely warm. Families spread blankets on the riverbanks for impromptu picnics. Young couples walk carefully chaperoned routes along the water, and fishermen cast lines hoping to catch the silvery fish that will become tomorrow's mass goof dinner. The river reflects city lights in wavering patterns that have inspired Iraqi poets for centuries. And sitting beside those same waters, you understand why this location has continuously attracted human civilization for over 4,000 years. Baghdad's cultural rhythm operates on different temporal principles than Western cities. Lunch happens around 2 p.m. and often stretches for 2 hours, not because people are inefficient, but because meals serve social and business functions that can't be rushed. Shops close during the hottest afternoon hours, then reopen around 4 p.m. and stay busy until 9 or 10 p.m. Dinner starts late, around 8 or 9 p.m., and weekend gatherings regularly continue past midnight. This schedule makes perfect sense in a climate where midday temperatures can literally become dangerous, and it creates a daily rhythm that prioritizes human comfort and social connection over rigid productivity metrics. The tea culture alone could justify a month-long anthropological study. Iraqi tea isn't just a beverage, it's a social institution, a business tool, a hospitality gesture, and a meditative practice all rolled into one small glass. The proper technique involves brewing strong black tea, adding sugar while hot, and serving in small glasses on small saucers with small spoons. The ceremony includes multiple rounds, lengthy conversations, and an unspoken understanding that rushing through tea service is almost insulting. Spending an afternoon in a traditional tea house, Watching old men play backgammon while debating everything from poetry to politics gives you access to a social fabric that has remained essentially unchanged for centuries. Street markets in Baghdad operate like open-air theaters where the drama never ends. Vendors arrange their goods with artistic precision, pyramids of oranges that glow like small suns, bunches of fresh herbs that release fragrances with every breeze, and displays of spices and colors so vibrant they seem to pulse with life. The haggling isn't aggressive or unpleasant. It's a ritualized dance where both parties understand their roles. Food shopping on a $600 budget becomes almost comically abundant. Fresh vegetables cost so little that your main challenge becomes eating everything before it spoils. A weekly shopping trip for fresh produce, bread, dairy, and meat typically runs $15 to $20, meaning your monthly food budget of $150 to $200 could actually feed a small family. Local markets offer pomegranates the size of softballs for 50 cents each, dates that taste like nature's candy for $2 per kilogram, and bread so fresh and inexpensive that many families buy it twice daily rather than storing day-old loaves. The Mosques experience represents everything beautiful about Iraqi food culture, compressed into one perfect meal. This isn't just grilled fish, it is a culinary ritual that begins with selecting a live carp from riverside tanks, continues with butterflying and seasoning the fish with a blend of spices that each family guards as a secret recipe, and concludes with slow grilling over tamarisk wood fires that impart a smoky flavor impossible to replicate with gas or electric cooking. The fish arrives at your table crispy skinned and tender-fleshed, accompanied by fresh bread, sliced onions, tomatoes, and pickled vegetables. Eating Mosques properly requires fingers, not utensils, and the experience connects you directly to techniques that Iraqi families have perfected over generations. Iraqi hospitality operates according to principles that seem almost mythical to visitors from more individualistic cultures. Accept an invitation to someone's home, and you're immediately transformed from stranger to honored guest, with responsibilities and privileges that both parties take seriously. Your host will present multiple courses of food, refill your tea glass before it empties, and refuse any attempts to help with serving or cleaning. This isn't just politeness, it is a cultural imperative that views proper guest treatment as a reflection of family honor and personal character. The conversations that develop during these hospitality sessions provide insights into Iraqi society that no guidebook could capture. Politics gets discussed with a sophistication that assumes familiarity with historical events going back centuries. Religious topics arise naturally and include perspectives from Sunni and Shia viewpoints, often within the same family. Personal stories emerge that reveal how ordinary people navigate extraordinary circumstances with humor, resilience, and pragmatic wisdom that comes from generations of adapting to changing conditions. Women in Baghdad occupy a complex social position that defies simple Western categorization. You'll see women in full hijab shopping alongside women in jeans and t-shirts, female university students debating philosophy in mixed gender groups, and successful businesswomen running shops, restaurants, and small enterprises. The social rules vary significantly between neighborhoods, families, and personal choices, creating a mosaic of experiences rather than a monolithic culture. Iraqi women's fashion sense operates within cultural parameters, but still allows for significant individual expression. Hijab styles range from simple head coverings to elaborate arrangements that incorporate colors, patterns, and accessories that communicate personal taste and social status. Many young women have developed sophisticated techniques for applying makeup that works within conservative frameworks while still achieving striking beauty effects. The result is a feminine aesthetic that's distinctly Iraqi, modest but not subdued, traditional but not outdated. Dating and romantic relationships in Baghdad require navigation skills that would challenge international diplomats. Young couples might meet at universities, through family connections, or increasingly through social media, but the progression from initial interest to marriage involves families, traditions, and social expectations that create a completely different romantic landscape than Western dating culture. Public displays of affection remain largely unacceptable. But private family gatherings often include mixed-gender socialization where relationships can develop within appropriate frameworks. The beauty industry in Baghdad has exploded over the past decade, with hair salons, makeup artists, and fashion boutiques catering to women who want to look stylish within cultural guidelines. These establishments serve as social hubs where women gather to chat, share news, and support each other's businesses. A professional haircut and styling session costs around $10 to $15, while elaborate wedding makeup might run $30 to $50 prices. That make regular beauty treatments accessible to most middle-class women. Wedding celebrations in Baghdad represent cultural preservation at its most joyful. These aren't simple one-day events, but week-long community celebrations that involve extended families, traditional music, elaborate food preparation, and ceremonies that blend Islamic traditions with distinctly Iraqi customs. The music includes out performances, traditional drums, and singing that goes back centuries, while the food preparation becomes a collaborative effort, involving dozens of people preparing dishes that might take days to complete properly. Music in Baghdad carries the weight of history in every note. The oud, that pear-shaped stringed instrument that's considered the ancestor of the European lute, originated in this region over 3,000 years ago. Contemporary Iraqi musicians blend traditional maqam scales with modern influences, creating sounds that are simultaneously ancient and contemporary. Evening gatherings often include impromptu musical performances, where someone produces an oud or drum, and suddenly the entire group becomes an audience for traditional songs that everyone knows by heart. Poetry remains a living art form in Baghdad, not a museum piece studied in universities, but a daily practice that appears in conversations, social media posts, and coffee house gatherings. Iraqis quote classical poets like Al-Mutanabi and Al-Jahiz in casual conversation, and contemporary poets perform in venues that range from university auditoriums to informal neighborhood gatherings. The Arabic language's capacity for wordplay, rhythm, and layered meaning makes poetry a natural fit for Iraqi culture, where verbal eloquence is highly valued and rewarded. Ramadan in Baghdad transforms the entire city into a month-long celebration that begins before dawn and continues past midnight. The pre-dawn suhoor meal becomes a community event where neighbors wake each other up, share food, and prepare for the day's fast together. Breaking the fast at sunset creates a daily festival atmosphere as families gather for iftar meals that often include extended relatives and invited guests. The evening prayers are followed by social visits, late-night shopping at markets that stay open until 2 a.m., and a general atmosphere of community celebration that makes the entire month feel like an extended holiday. The sound landscape of Baghdad tells its own story. Morning brings the layered call to prayer from multiple mosques, creating harmonies that rise and fall across the cityscape. Market vendors call out their goods in rhythmic chants that turn commerce into inadvertent music. Children playing in streets contribute laughter and shouts that echo off apartment buildings. Evening conversations on rooftops blend with television broadcasts, car horns, and the distant sound of the Tigris River flowing toward the Persian Gulf. Your $600 monthly budget places you comfortably in Baghdad's middle class, with enough money to live well while still having funds for entertainment, travel within Iraq, and occasional luxuries. Local salaries often range from $400 to $800 monthly for professional positions, meaning your budget aligns with local economic realities, rather than creating the artificial wealth disparity that often characterizes Western travelers in developing countries. Accommodation options on this budget range from shared apartments in central neighborhoods for $150 to $200 monthly to private studios in quieter residential areas for $250 to $300. Many apartments come furnished with basic necessities, and landlords often include utilities in rent prices. The buildings might not offer luxury amenities, but they provide solid housing with reliable electricity, running water, and internet connections that work well enough for video calls and streaming. Transportation costs remain almost negligible compared to Western standards. Shared taxis that follow fixed routes charge around 500 dinars 35 cents for trips across multiple neighborhoods. The restaurant scene offers options from street vendors selling falafel and shawarma for under $2. Two upscale establishments where a full dinner for two might cost $25 to $30. Most meals fall somewhere in the middle neighborhood restaurants where locals eat regularly, serving generous portions of traditional dishes for $3 to $7 per person. These establishments often specialize in particular dishes, creating an informal culinary tour as you try different places throughout the city. Internet cafes remain popular social spaces where young people gather to play online games, browse social media, and maintain international connections. These cafes often serve tea and light snacks, creating hybrid spaces that combine technology access with traditional social functions. Monthly, internet packages for personal use cost around $25 to $30 for speeds adequate for most purposes, though power outages occasionally interrupt service. Shopping for clothing, household items, and electronics happens in markets that range from traditional souks selling handmade goods to modern shopping centers with international brands. The contrast creates interesting options. You might buy beautiful hand-woven textiles for $10 to $15, while also finding imported electronics at prices comparable to international markets. Haggling remains expected in traditional markets, but fixed-price stores are increasingly common for manufactured goods. Healthcare in Baghdad includes both public and private options, with costs that seem almost fictional compared to American standards. Private doctor consultations typically cost $10 to $20, while basic dental work runs $15 to $30. Prescription medications cost a fraction of Western prices, though availability can vary for specialized drugs. Public hospitals provide free emergency care, while private hospitals offer faster service and more comfortable accommodations for fees that rarely exceed $100 to $200 for routine procedures. Education represents one of Baghdad's ongoing success stories, with literacy rates above 80% and universities that continue producing graduates in fields ranging from engineering to literature. The University of Baghdad, founded in 1957, remains one of the Middle East's most respected institutions, while newer private universities offer programs taught in English for students planning international careers. Evening classes and continuing education programs serve adults who want to develop new skills while maintaining employment. The city's intellectual atmosphere remains palpable, especially in areas like Al-Mutanabbi Street, where bookstores, cafes, and cultural centers create an environment that feels like Baghdad's famous House of Wisdom. Reborn in contemporary form, conversations in these spaces range across literature, politics, philosophy, and current events with a depth and sophistication that reflects Iraq's long tradition of valuing education and intellectual discourse. Art galleries and cultural centers throughout Baghdad showcase contemporary Iraqi artists working in styles that blend international influences with distinctly local themes and techniques. These venues often host evening events that combine art exhibitions with poetry readings, musical performances, and social gatherings that bring together Baghdad's creative community. Admission to these events typically costs around $2 to $5, making cultural participation accessible to most residents. The photography scene in Baghdad has exploded with social media, as young Iraqis document their daily lives in ways that challenge international stereotypes about their city. Instagram accounts showcase everything from elaborate food presentations to fashion photography, to urban landscape shots that reveal Baghdad's visual complexity. This organic documentation provides a counter-narrative to news media representations, showing a city full of normal people living interesting, beautiful, and often joyful lives. Safety considerations in Baghdad require common sense rather than paranoia. Most neighborhoods operate according to normal urban rhythms, with local residents happy to provide directions, recommendations, and assistance to visitors who show respect for local customs. The areas around universities, markets, and residential districts feel as safe as comparable neighborhoods in other major cities, while certain locations require more caution based on current political situations rather than permanent danger. The relationship between residents and security forces has normalized significantly, with checkpoints that function more like traffic management than military operations. Local police officers often speak some English and generally respond helpfully to requests for assistance or directions. The visible security presence, while initially striking to foreign visitors, becomes background routine rather than source of constant tension. Evening social life in Baghdad centers around family gatherings, tea houses, and restaurants rather than bars or nightclubs, creating a different but equally vibrant after-dark culture. Rooftop gatherings during pleasant weather become impromptu social events where neighbors share food. Children play together, and adults engage in conversations that continue for hours. These gatherings cost nothing, but provide entertainment and social connection that money can't buy. The shopping experience in Baghdad's traditional markets provides entertainment value beyond simple commerce. Spice vendors offer taste of their products while explaining cooking applications. Fabric sellers demonstrate textile quality by stretching and examining materials. And fruit vendors select the ripest examples for customers to sample. These interactions turn routine shopping into cultural education and social engagement. Personal relationships develop quickly in Baghdad's social environment, where community connections matter more than individual privacy. Neighbors look out for each other's properties, shopkeepers remember customer preferences, and service providers often become personal friends rather than anonymous commercial contacts. This social density creates a support network that helps explain how residents navigate challenges with such apparent resilience and good humor. The seasonal rhythm of Baghdad life adapts to climate extremes that range from pleasant spring weather to summer heat that literally drives people indoors. During midday hours, air conditioning becomes essential during summer months, adding roughly $30 to $50 to monthly electricity bills, while spring and autumn weather allows for outdoor activities that showcase the city at its most beautiful. Winter temperatures rarely drop below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, making year-round outdoor living possible with appropriate seasonal adjustments. Learning basic Arabic phrases opens social doors that remain closed to visitors who rely entirely on English. Though many educated Iraqis speak English well enough for complex conversations, the effort to communicate in Arabic, however imperfectly, demonstrates respect for local culture and usually generates enthusiastic assistance from locals who appreciate the attempt. Language learning resources include private tutors who charge around $10 to $15 per hour, and informal conversation practice that happens naturally in social settings. The visa process for Baghdad requires advanced planning and documentation, but Americans and most Europeans can obtain tourist visas through Iraqi embassies or upon arrival at Baghdad International Airport. The process involves providing proof of accommodation, return tickets, and sufficient funds, along with visa fees around $75 to $100. Processing times vary, but advance application through Iraqi consulates generally provides more predictable timing than airport visas. Cultural etiquette in Baghdad emphasizes respect for religious practices, modest dress codes, and family-oriented social structures. Covering shoulders and knees applies to both men and women in most public spaces, while more conservative dress becomes necessary near mosques or during religious holidays. Understanding Islamic prayer times helps visitors plan activities around periods when shops close and streets empty temporarily. Photography restrictions exist around government buildings, military installations, and security checkpoints, but most other locations allow photography with appropriate discretion. Many locals enjoy being photographed and will pose enthusiastically for tourist pictures, especially children and young adults who want to share images on social media. Street photography captures daily life scenes that reveal Baghdad's authentic character. Beyond news media representations, the bargaining culture extends beyond markets to many service transactions, including taxi fares, hotel rates, and even restaurant bills in some establishments. The negotiation process remains friendly rather than confrontational, with both parties understanding that reaching mutually acceptable terms strengthens ongoing relationships. Learning to bargain appropriately demonstrates cultural awareness and usually results in fair prices rather than tourist exploitation. Currency exchange happens through official banks, licensed exchange offices, and informal money changers who operate openly in commercial districts. The Iraqi dinar fluctuates against the dollar, but exchange rates remain relatively stable for daily transactions. Most businesses accept US dollars for larger purchases, though small vendors prefer dinars for routine transactions. A team exists throughout Baghdad, though reliability varies and backup cash sources provide security. Medical considerations include routine vaccinations recommended for Middle Eastern travel, protection against summer heat-related illness, and awareness of local medical facilities for emergency situations. Private hospitals in Baghdad offer care comparable to international standards, while pharmacies stock most common medications at prices significantly below Western costs. Travel insurance remains advisable, though medical expenses in Baghdad rarely reach levels that create financial hardship. The climate requires seasonal wardrobe planning, with lightweight, long-sleeve clothing for summer sun protection and moderate layering for winter comfort. Spring and autumn weather allows for comfortable outdoor activities, while summer demands indoor retreats during peak heat hours and evening timing for outdoor exploration. Air quality varies seasonally, with dust storms occasionally affecting visibility and breathing comfort. Communication infrastructure includes reliable cell phone service, widespread Wi-Fi availability, and internet speeds adequate for most personal and business needs. International calling cards provide inexpensive contact with home countries, while social media platforms work normally for maintaining global connections. The time zone GMT+3 places Baghdad several hours ahead of European cities, and significantly ahead of American time zones. Banking services for longer-term residents include local account options, though international transfers require documentation and fees that vary between institutions. Credit cards work in upscale hotels and restaurants, but cash transactions dominate daily commerce. Money management strategies should emphasize local currency for small purchases, and US dollars for larger transactions or emergency reserves. The employment landscape for foreigners requires specialized skills and often involves positions with international organizations, educational institutions, or reconstruction projects. Teaching English provides opportunities for qualified instructors, while business consulting, journalism, and aid work offer other professional possibilities. Work permits require employers' sponsorship and government approval processes that can take several months to complete. Cultural immersion opportunities include language study programs, traditional craft workshops, cooking classes, and participation in community events that welcome respectful foreign participation. These experiences provide deeper understanding of Iraqi culture, while creating personal connections that enrich the travel experience beyond surface-level tourism. The transportation network extends beyond Baghdad to other Iraqi cities, with bus services connecting to destinations like Najaf, Karbala, and Erbil for travelers interested in exploring beyond the capital. Domestic flights offer faster connections to Kurdish regions in northern Iraq, where security situations and cultural atmospheres differ significantly from central Iraq. Travel within Iraq requires awareness of current political situations and appropriate documentation. Shopping for souvenirs and local crafts supports traditional artisans, while providing authentic memento options. Iraqi crafts include metalwork, ceramics, textiles, and calligraphy that reflect centuries of artistic tradition. Antique shops offer pieces with genuine historical significance, though export regulations require documentation for valuable items leaving the country. The social media landscape shows a Baghdad that contradicts international stereotypes, with Instagram accounts showcasing fashion, food, art, and daily life that looks remarkably normal compared to crisis narratives. Young Iraqis use social platforms to connect internationally, share cultural pride, and build businesses that reach global markets. This online presence provides authentic insights into contemporary Iraqi society. Beyond news media representations, religious tourism within Baghdad includes significant Islamic sites that attract pilgrims from throughout the Muslim world. The Qadimia Shrine, dedicated to Shia imams, represents one of Islam's holiest sites and offers non-Muslim visitors opportunities to observe religious practices with appropriate respect and dress codes. These sites provide cultural education about Islamic traditions and their role in contemporary Iraqi society. The literary scene continues Baghdad's historical role as a center of Arabic literature, with contemporary poets and writers maintaining traditions that stretch back over a millennium. Book fairs, poetry readings, and literary discussions happen regularly in venues throughout the city, providing cultural activities that cost little but offer significant intellectual engagement. Many events include English translation or interpretation for international participants. Seasonal festivals and celebrations throughout the year provide cultural experiences that showcase Iraqi traditions alongside contemporary expressions. Religious holidays create community celebrations that welcome respectful participation from visitors, while cultural festivals highlight music, art, and literature through events that bring together diverse segments of Baghdad society. These occasions offer authentic cultural immersion opportunities that can't be replicated through commercial tourism. The entrepreneurial spirit in Baghdad manifests through small businesses, family enterprises, and innovative adaptations to local economic conditions. Young Iraqis start restaurants, technology services, handicraft businesses, and import operations that demonstrate creativity and resilience, supporting these enterprises through purchases and social media promotion provides direct economic benefit to local communities. Weather patterns in Baghdad create distinct seasonal experiences, from spring months when the city blooms with gardens and pleasant temperatures to summer intensity that reshapes daily schedules. Around heat avoidance, autumn brings relief and renewed outdoor activity, while winter provides mild temperatures perfect for walking tours and extended outdoor exploration. Each season offers different advantages for various activities and cultural experiences. The culinary learning opportunities include cooking classes with local families, market tours that explain ingredient selection and preparation techniques, and participation in communal cooking for special occasions. These experiences provide practical skills while creating personal connections that extend beyond formal tourist activities. Learning to prepare Iraqi dishes authentically requires understanding ingredient sources, traditional techniques, and cultural contexts that surround food preparation. Transportation between neighborhoods reveals Baghdad's geographic and social diversity, from ancient quarters with narrow streets and traditional architecture to modern districts with wide boulevards and contemporary buildings. Each area maintains distinct character while contributing to the city's overall urban fabric. Walking tours, guided by locals or undertaken independently, provide insights into how historical layers create contemporary neighborhood identities. The music scene includes traditional performances in cultural centers, alongside contemporary fusion styles performed in restaurants and social venues. Iraqi musicians blend out-based traditional forms with international influences, creating sounds that reflect cultural continuity alongside contemporary innovation. Evening entertainment often includes live music performances that cost nothing beyond meal or beverage purchases. Personal safety strategies emphasize cultural sensitivity, situational awareness, and integration with local communities rather than isolation or defensive measures. Baghdad residents generally respond positively to respectful visitors, who make efforts to understand local customs and social expectations. Building relationships with neighbors, shopkeepers, and service providers creates informal support networks that enhance both safety and cultural understanding. The photography opportunities in Baghdad range from architectural documentation of historical sites to street photography that captures daily life authenticity. The city's visual complexity provides subjects for artistic photography, while raising awareness of contemporary Iraqi realities beyond news media representations. Many local photographers welcome collaboration and can provide insights into locations, timing, and cultural sensitivity considerations. Economic opportunities for creative professionals include freelance work in photography, writing, translation, and digital services that can be performed remotely for international clients while living affordably in Baghdad. The cost of living advantage allows for reduced rates while maintaining comfortable lifestyles, creating possibilities for creative careers that might be financially challenging in expensive Western cities. This is Baghdad, not the simplified version presented in news reports, but the complex, beautiful, challenging, and utterly human city where 7 million people wake up each morning and create lives full of meaning, joy, and connection. Your $600 monthly budget doesn't just cover expenses. It buys you entry into a civilization that has been perfecting the arts of hospitality, conversation, and community for thousands of years. The sun sets over the Tigris River the same way it has for millennia, painting the water gold and orange while families gather for evening meals. Children play in streets where their ancestors played, while their parents debate politics, poetry, and the price of tomatoes with the same passion that has characterized Baghdad conversations since the city's founding. This is not a destination for tourists seeking comfort zones or familiar experiences. This is a place for travelers ready to witness resilience, authenticity, and cultural richness that can't be packaged or commodified. Comment 7 if you're ready to see Baghdad beyond the headlines and experience one of history's greatest cities as it truly exists today.